Hi there guys, my name's Action Dan and welcome to my next video. Now this video I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. This is not a vastly high detailed review video. This is more just me saying if you're a beginner and you've never really operated drones much before and you haven't, flown your drone for more than 24 hours in your life, do not bother with the Mini 2 or the Mini 3. The Mini 1 this year, if you're gonna get it for Christmas and you're new to this whole thing, is gonna be about $450 for the Mini 1. Maybe $400 in a nice package with some extra batteries and stuff like that, and a carry bag if you're lucky for the Christmas sales. Black Friday sales, you can probably get this thing for $3.99 I imagine this year, Australian dollar. The Mini 2 is nearly twice the price. It's like 180% the price of the Mini 1. And the same thing again with the Mini 3. The Mini 3 is nearly 3 times the price, probably 260% the price of the Mini 1. So the Mini 1 this year, right now, you can get it for about $450. For Christmas, you're probably going to be able to get it for $400. And Christmas this year, the Mini 2, you're probably going to be able to get on a sales package for $800. And the Mini 3 this year, you're probably going to have in a sales package for $1,300 or $1,200 if you're really lucky. I just bought the Mini 3. I waited ages before I got my first drone. But now that I've flown drones for more than 100 hours and over a year, I thought I'm going to go get the expensive one before everyone's done videos about it and no one's interested in learning about the Mini 3 anymore. But hypocritically to that, I'll say save your money guys, get the Mini 1, and just to prove to you how awesome and cool this Mini 1 is and that you don't need anything better, especially if you're a beginner, and because I've got the Mini 3 of course and I'm not scared of the Mini 1 getting killed, I gave the Mini 1 to my wife. And I said to her, don't be worried about breaking it, darling. I've already got a more expensive piece of plastic that weighs 250 grams to break. You can break this one if you want, but don't do it deliberately. My wife was very interested in this and she felt the same way. She felt more confident in using my first drone if I've got the third one that's more expensive. And this is all completely, well, I won't say unedited. I put some color and contrast in it and stuff like that. And I chopped out the bits of her flying the Mini 1 where the 3-axis gimbal stabilizer isn't very good in the Mini 1, I'll say. But you'll see the rest of the footage is still awesome. It's so sharp and detailed. There is so much color range. If you're a beginner, you really don't buy the Mini 2 or the Mini 3. You do not need it. That's enough ramble. I'll get straight into it. And this, I swear on my grave, this is my wife using the Mini 1 for the very first time. She's never flown a drone before, and the footage my wife captured, I think, is still amazing. So if you're that beginner this year and you want something for Christmas and you've watched this video, trust me, you get the Mini 1, you'll love it, it's incredible. And then next year, when you've got some experience and you're not gonna lose your drone and you're not gonna kill it, you're not gonna crash it into trees, you're not gonna drop it in a pond or an ocean or something like that at the beach, it will be much safer for you to get the Mini 3. So let's get straight into it. How well does my wife do with my Mini 1 drone? And does she nearly land on someone's rooftop? Let's find out.
Action Dan, the greatest hero of them all.
The Mini 2 and the Mini 3 have further range than the Mini 1, but realistically in the worst conditions imaginable, like this parkland where we're flying the Mini 1, with trees and hills and buildings everywhere, you can still get a minimum range of about 400 meters in any situation with the Mini 1, and no average person ever has the confidence to fly the Mini 1 out of that range anyway. So unless you're far above average with your confidence in your ability to fly a drone, no one needs the range of a Mini 2 or the Mini 3 anyways. Now this is a part right here where we started to face our problems. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but now that we've turned the drone around 180 and we're coming back, the drone is facing a strong headwind and we're barely moving forwards at all. Sometimes, as you can see right now, we're just perfectly breaking even, hardly moving even half a meter a second. So I grabbed the controller off my wife and said, "Sorry, Dal, you did great, but this is a bit of an emergency. I'm going to have to take the controller off of you and try and find somewhere to put this drone down before the battery life runs out." Now I should have been really cautious and just landed on that gigantic oval, but I'd never used the GPS feature on the application on the drone before to find it if you lose it, and I didn't want to find out, so I tried to get this drone back to us as close as possible. Now the drone was forcing a landing, it was coming down, even though I'm pushing up to make it ascend in height, it was forcing itself down, so I said, okay, it's now or never. So I picked this patch of grass, beautiful green grass out the front of someone's yard. Without wearing goggles, I couldn't even see these power lines just looking at my mobile phone screen. It's lucky I didn't hit the power lines. And I aimed my camera down, which is what you should do to see where you're going to land. And I thought, yep, that's good enough. And right here, this is where I lost signal. I did not even get to see the footpath. In fact, I was actually aiming for the center of this person's front yard. But by the time the drone got down about level with that tree in their front yard, I completely lost signal and I didn't get to see this part. I didn't get to see the drone landing itself. So me and my wife quickly went for a run, and about 8 minutes later, we were picking up the drone. So the drone lived to see another day. So what did you think, guys? I don't know about you, but I think my wife's performance for that being her very first flight, that was pretty friggin' amazing. So that just shows you, if you're gonna buy this, get yourself a drone for Christmas and it's your first time, this is by far the best you ever need, and plus some. This thing is astonishing. Yes, the Mini 2 is better, and yes, the Mini 3 is better, but the Mini 2 isn't even really a Mini 2. It looks identical to this. It's more like a Mini 1.2 or a Mini 1.3, if I'm being generous. So let's just say I'm never gonna mention the Mini 2 again. The truth is, the Mini 1 is a Mini 1, and the Mini 3 is more like your Mini 2, and they've redesigned a fair bit of it, and its capabilities have pretty much doubled. This thing can go twice as far, it can go twice as fast, it can have a longer lasting battery life. The gimbal on it, I've had this thing for 2 weeks, and I've never once found the limit of the gimbal on this thing, where even for a split second where the video isn't perfect. One of the big downsides on the Mini 1, if you're being cautious and saving your money, is the gimbal isn't anywhere near as good as on the Mini 2 and the Mini 3. About 1 in 6 flights I'll go out, you'll have annoying footage where this gets stuck at its limits with the gimbal and you needed something a bit better. The second major downside you saw in this video is it's not the fastest at all, the Mini 1. The Mini 2 is practically twice the speed, I'd say 180% speed of the Mini 1. And if you buy the Mini 1 that isn't that powerful, the biggest thing that you need to remember when you go out flying is fly out with the wind resisting you. So that when you get up to 50% battery life and you decide to turn around and to come back, you then have a tailwind and it can push you back to the finish line. If you make the big mistake of flying the drone off in any direction, and then it's pretty much a 1 in 3 chance that you've got a tailwind that's, of some pretty big impact. 1 in 3 times you fly it and you turn around at 50%, you're not going to get back because you're going to be into a headwind, and there's something else that gets worse. When you come back, even if you've got the tailwind assisting you, sometimes you still won't make it back. I've had 4 times when I've nearly lost this drone because it has not enough strength to come back. You think you're gonna make it back, but then you get down to 20% and this drone does nearly nothing. When you get to 20%, it just breaks even with the wind. It gains less than 2 meters a second, and you find yourself having to put it down right wherever it is at that time. And I've had to freak out, get in my car or start jogging and go find that drone. When my wife was flying this drone, she did amazingly well. She did perfect. But when we turned around and come back, it became a headwind. And you can see in I'll play the video here in the corner while I'm finishing up quickly. You'll see here when we're over the sports oval, the drone is just kind of bouncing on the spot, breaking even and getting a little bit of progress here and there with the headwind. And then the house that we ended up landing at isn't too much further. So just remember that. This thing, by far the best value for money, the Mini 1. But it's not very fast, and if you don't plan your battery life really carefully, you're not going to make it back. I nearly lost this one over the ocean at least twice. One time I was filming on the ocean. I went out with a tailwind, made a piece of cake easy. I came back with like 60 or even 65% of my battery life. I thought that's enough, you'll make it. But no, when I'm coming back, the headwind is broke even. with the drone's speed, and it was coming back at less than 2 meters a second, and it was just hovering there on the spot. And this was going to be the most painful slow death you could imagine.
Careful, Austin! Watch out! Watch out! Watch out!
You could imagine of the drone dying over about 4 or 6 minutes, just breaking even while I'm telling all the people around me, stop talking to me, stop talking to me. What are you doing, Danny? What's wrong? Shut up. Oh no, my drone is just sitting there. It's not coming back. Luckily, I was sane enough to think clearly enough to lower its height. And I bring its height down below what was originally about 80 meters. And luckily, the cliff that we were near then blocked the headwind, and the drone was able to skim along back to me. And the drone lived to tell another tale, and it didn't die. But if that wind wasn't able to be avoided by coming down low, this thing would have died at least 3 times by now. Unquestionably, the Mini 3 is about twice as good as the Mini 1, but they're asking nearly 3 times the price tag. So if you're a beginner and you buy the Mini 3, you're inevitably probably going to crash it at some time, and you're going to lose all your $1,000 minimum worth of money. So start with this thing. This is your Toyota Camry of drones, and this is like your, your Lamborghini Diablo. It's awesome, but you don't really need it, and it costs so much. I hope this video was able to help someone, and this helps you decide what you're going to buy for yourself for Christmas this year. Post a comment down below. Again, tell me, what did you think of my wife's performance for her very first flight? I think she did amazing. And yeah, you're not made of money, don't go buy the Mini 3. Just stick with the Mini 1. Next year, spoil yourself and get a Mini 3 when you know how to fly it and you're not going to crash it. See you guys next time. Bye.
Action time, the greatest hero of them all.
If you guys want to see another drone comparison video, click on the link on the left. How far the Mini 1 and the Mini 3 can get away from me before we completely lose signal. You might be surprised in the results.